What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to discuss the Stage 2 that I had put in on my 2022 Lowrider ST. I want to discuss the reasons why I went this route, how it affected the performance, some of the pros, some of the cons, and what you can expect when going to get a Stage 2. So I'll cover what it cost me to put the Stage 2 on the bike, who I went through, how that whole procedure happened, and then lastly we'll talk about whether a Stage 2 is maybe right for you or not. And I would take it by watching videos about Stage 2s in general. You're kind of already leaning in that direction. But yeah, so how did this start? So when I bought the Lowrider ST, I had always expected to put some performance upgrades into it. I didn't know necessarily when I was going to do a Stage 2 or how, but this is the first one that I've done on one of my bikes. So I've always had the Stage 1, I've always swapped out the air cleaner, I've always swapped out the exhaust. I think we're all pretty much in the same boat with that being standard of fare for one of these bikes. Maybe the exhaust more than the air cleaner necessarily. So, but as time went on, you kind of hear, through the grapevine, as you get more and more interested and you're watching more videos, you might be hearing about people doing Stage 2s, or how it wakes the bike up, or how it gives it that tried and true Harley sound, if you will. It gives it that loppiness. And so all cams are a little bit different. Some are more loppy than others. And in this case, I've got an SNS 475 cam. I probably should have led on from the start with that to kind of explain what I have in here. I did the full cam and chest plate. So everything's been replaced. We've got new adjustable push rods, new push rod covers, tappets, you name it. It's all been done and then fully tuned. So when I put the Stage 1 on there, I had gotten basically a standard map from Field Moto to account for my air cleaner and my exhaust. At the end of the day, every bike's a little bit different, so it wasn't a perfect map, but at least got me in the ballpark of kind of how my bike should be running. And then I kind of had there was a little bit left to be desired as far as performance. There were some dips, and it was very noticeable, like going through the RPM range, that there were dips in power in various spaces. So the question was, well, do I go and get the bike tuned now with just the Stage 1, or am I actually going to do this whole Stage 2 thing? And when I decided on the Stage 2 thing, it was like, yep, we're going to go ahead and make sure that all the money is set aside, so that way the full Stage 2 can be done, it can all be thrown on, and then also the bike can be dyno tuned at that time to really dial it in. So when I was looking around, SNS has various different cam upgrades. I think the 475 is probably like the most common that you'll see just online. I think it's one that people gravitate towards the most. It has the iconic sound that you're looking for, and I mean the power that it makes is nuts. And that's not to say that there aren't cams out there that are going to make maybe more power on the Milwaukee 8 platform. I don't know necessarily, and I didn't really care to know. I knew that I liked SNS as a brand, so I'll just admit here, like, I'm an SNS fanboy. I love their products. So take what I say there with a grain of salt, I suppose. If you don't like SNS, I mean, you can go with Fueling, you can go with other companies that offer different products. I know a lot of people are doing like the Star 3030 race cam and stuff like that. So kind of beat it around the idea. I looked online. I think the full kit for this cam, with the cam and chest plate, all that stuff, was $1,600. Not out the door, but like just MSRP. So you account for tax, title, license after the fact, just to buy the parts. So if you're looking like for a ballpark number of like how much this is going to cost you, like if you're going to do a full kit, which I think I would recommend that. I don't think, while you have a technician in your bike kind of working on things, it probably makes sense to replace a lot of the parts that the Milwaukee 8 is known for maybe being early points of failure, if you will. Not to say that, a stock plate's not going to do you fine, but we all heard about oil sumping issues and all those things that have happened in previous years. I think that's been solved, but just something to keep in mind. If you're going to have somebody in there replacing the cam, you want to throw a couple extra performance parts in there while they're in there. It makes sense you know, while you're doing that job to just get it all done. So again, I think the kit was $1,600. I want to say most Harley dealers, when it comes to maintenance and just their hourly rates, it's like $110 an hour. So between purchasing the kit, all the parts, and then add the labor on top of that for not only installing the cam, and then the bike had to get shipped out to a performance shop, which that didn't cost me extra, but you know, their hourly rate, all that sort of thing. The whole thing, you know, if you just put a stamp of stage 2 on this whole project, it was just under $3,200. So that's an average ballpark. You know, I'm sure there are people out there that are going to say I got raked over the coals, and there are probably other people who have paid more than that. It's just, I would say that's probably the average. Like if you're going to go to your dealer and you're going to have them take care of it for you, I didn't see that as outside the ballpark. I had been quoted a few times from different places, and so kind of made sense. It seemed like, you know, it was kind of right up the alley as to what it cost. So long story short, and we'll get to starting the bike up in a little bit here, but what did it do for me performance wise? And it's hard to really articulate how exactly it changes the bike, because it changes it so fundamentally that it rides completely differently. And I cannot overstate that. Like, if you're on the fence, like, oh, how much is it really going to change my bike? It's literally going to change the throttle responsiveness. It's going to change your torque curve. It's going to change, I mean, you're going to have more power, like no question, but it's going to change the sound. It's going to change the characteristics. It's going to be mean. It's going to sound mean. So if you're on the fence and wondering like how much of a change this really is, like of all the things you could put on your bike, it is most certainly the best bang for your buck, in my opinion. So as far as numbers go, the baseline pull that my bike ran, stage 1 kind of tune, not a great tune by any means. It was like still mid 90s horsepower and like 116 pound-feet of torque, somewhere in there. You know, so not the worst that I've seen from a 117 out of the factory, and like at the end of the day we can pretty much call that stock, because again, the tune wasn't really geared properly for everything that I had as far as stage 1 goes. But moving to that stage 2, I'm putting down 129 horsepower and 140 pound-feet of torque. 139, I rounded up, you know, because I wanted it to sound cool, but 139 foot-pounds of torque and 129 horsepower. I cannot even explain to you how insane that is. Like a 30 horsepower increase from one part. And so when it comes to like these bikes from the factory, you know, if you're just coming to the Milwaukee 8 platform, the 117 is going to do you just fine. But if you're really looking for that performance aspect, like this is the way to go, without question. And I know there's people that'll do 131 kits and do a full stage 4 or 136 or any of that. Sure, more power, got it, great. You're probably going to upgrade a couple other things, but like just to get you to a point where you can get quite a bit more power before you have to start replacing other things in your powertrain, like, you know, higher tension springs, maybe a different throttle body, a compensator, like all those things. Like you're right, before you get to that point, this is as far as you really want to go probably. So at least that's what I've been told. Okay, so like I'm no expert by any means. I'm not a mechanic genius. I just talk to my dealer, I talk to my parts guys, and those are the kind of things we talk about. So the biggest deal for me is like the responsiveness and the throttle. I mean, I couldn't tell you, like the moment I started it up with the stage 2, it was just like immediate. It was unbelievable. I mean, it has this low growl to it that it just didn't have before. And in this video, I'm gonna try to grab some old content from last year's trip when I did a cold start in the morning, and then I'll compare it to the startup that I'm about to do now. So without further ado, the stage 2's in the bike. It's an SNS 475 combined with a TBR Comp S 2-in-1 pipe and an Air Stealth Stinger air cleaner from SNS. And I mean, yeah, if you're sitting just at 140 pound-feet of torque, I don't think you really know what that is until you've like sat on it. And at the end of the day, even if the number wasn't that high, the butt dyno, you know, as everybody says, the butt dyno is what's really going to tell you whether you're performing or not, you know, because that's how it feels. It feels unbelievable to ride now. So anyway, I already know I said without further ado, so let's get to starting the bike, and you guys can listen to it on a cold start. Hopefully the audio is decent enough, and then I'll let it warm up for a little bit so it starts getting a little bit more loppy for you to hear that as well. So I'm probably not going to have any more audio from me after this. We're going to start it up and then we're going to end the video. So from here on out, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.
Nice. A little bit of chill in the air, which I'm a fan of. Keep us cool this morning.